The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Jefferson Elementary's playground, where 47-year-old Margaret Chen found herself in the most unlikely situation of her corporate career. Margaret had built her tech company from nothing, turning late nights and coffee-stained business plans into a thriving enterprise that employed over 200 people. Today, she'd come to this small-town school for what should have been a simple ribbon-cutting ceremony. A new computer lab, funded by her company's community outreach program. But now, 3 men in wrinkled business suits surrounded her near the old swing set. Their faces were flushed with anger, their voices rising as they pressed closer. "You think you can just waltz in here and destroy everything we've worked for?" The tallest one, a man named Richards, jabbed his finger toward her. "Your company's expansion is killing local businesses." Margaret kept her voice steady, though her heart was racing. "Gentlemen, I understand your concerns, but surely we can discuss this professionally." The second man, stockier with graying temples, stepped forward. "Discussion time is—" "Over, lady! You've cost us everything!" From across the playground, Frank Morrison had been watching. At 52, Frank had worked as a janitor at Jefferson Elementary for 8 years now. His weathered hands gripped his trusty mop, the same one he'd used to clean these halls since his wife Sarah had passed away from cancer. Frank understood struggle. He'd raised his teenage daughter Emma alone after Sarah's death, working double shifts when needed, never missing a single one of Emma's school plays or soccer games. Life had taught him that real strength wasn't about the size of your bank account, but about standing up when someone needed help. The 3 men were closing in on Margaret now. Frank could see the fear in her eyes, the way she glanced around looking for escape. In that moment, she wasn't a powerful CEO. She was just someone in trouble. Frank had learned something important during those long nights at Sarah's bedside. Sometimes, the most ordinary people are called to do extraordinary things. He walked steadily toward the confrontation, his janitor's uniform clean and pressed as always. "Excuse me, gentlemen," he said quietly, his voice carrying the calm authority of someone who'd weathered life's storms. The men turned, surprised. Richard sneered. "This doesn't concern you, janitor. Walk away." But Frank didn't walk away. Instead, he planted himself between Margaret and her attackers, holding his mop like a staff. Not threatening, but unmistakably protective. "Actually," Frank said, "it does concern me. This is my school, and everyone here deserves to feel safe." The second man laughed harshly. "What are you going to do? Mop us to death?" Frank smiled gently. "I'm not going to do anything violent, but I'm also not going to stand by and watch 3 grown men intimidate a woman who came here to help children." Margaret watched in amazement. This quiet man, someone she'd never met, was risking his safety for her. She could see the wedding ring still on his finger, the careful way he'd polished his work boots, the dignity he wore like armor. "You don't understand," the third man said, desperation creeping into his voice. "She's destroying our town." Frank nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But I know this much." He paused, letting his words settle. "When my wife was sick, this community rallied around us. Neighbors brought casseroles. Teachers stayed late to help my daughter with homework. Strangers became family." His voice grew warmer. "That's what people do in good communities. They talk to each other. They work together. They don't corner someone in a schoolyard." Richards looked uncertain now. "You don't know what we've lost." "Don't I?" Frank's eyes held deep compassion. "Friend, I've lost plenty. But I've learned that anger and fear, they're just grief wearing a disguise." Margaret felt tears prick her eyes. In boardrooms and conference calls, she'd forgotten what authentic human connection looked like. But here it was, in the gentle wisdom of a janitor who understood that courage wasn't about power, but about choosing kindness when it mattered most. The confrontation was dissolving. The three men looked at each other, then at Frank, then at Margaret. The fire had gone out of their anger, replaced by something that looked almost like shame. We just wanted someone to listen, the stocky man said quietly. Margaret stepped forward, no longer afraid. Then let's sit down and talk. Really talk. All of us. Later, after conversations and phone numbers had been exchanged, after promises, to meet again and work together. Margaret found Frank cleaning the windows of the school's main office. "Thank you," she said simply. Frank looked up, his eyes crinkling with a gentle smile. "No need for thanks. We all need someone in our corner sometimes." "But why?" Margaret asked. "You didn't know me. You had no reason to—" Frank set down his cleaning cloth. When Emma was 7, she came home crying because some older kids had knocked her lunch tray over. She was too scared to stand up to them. He paused, remembering. "I told her that real heroes aren't the strongest people. They're the ones who step in when someone needs help, even when it's scary, especially when it's scary." Margaret nodded, understanding flooding through her. "Your daughter is lucky to have you." "No," Frank said softly. "I'm lucky to have learned from her. Kids, they see things clearly. They know that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest force in the world." As Margaret drove home that evening, she thought about the afternoon's lesson. Success wasn't just about building companies or making profits. It was about building bridges, about remembering that behind every conflict, every disagreement, were real people with real struggles. And sometimes, the most profound acts of courage happen quietly, in schoolyards and hallways, carried out by ordinary people who understand that we all need someone willing to stand up for us, mop and all. In a world that often felt divided, Frank Morrison had reminded her of a simple truth. We're all in this together, and the smallest acts of kindness can change everything. Sometimes heroes wear janitor uniforms and carry mops. Sometimes courage looks like choosing compassion over conflict. And sometimes, the most important lessons happen in the most unexpected places.